makeup, dresses, and just a whole lot of messed up stuff. That's right, it's top 10 scandalous women in history that'll make you blush part 2. Number 10, Madonna. Remember the 1980s? I know, it was a super long time ago. Motley Crue was rocking the stage, Ronald Reagan was talking to Gorbachev, and shredding fresh powder had 2 different meanings. However, it's difficult to think about the 1980s without thinking about the most controversial star of the decade. Madonna. Yep, that's right. Which honestly is just part of her act, really. Every half a decade she comes out of hiding and does something to upset conservative parents everywhere. She's had multiple wardrobe malfunctions and perhaps the most scandalous kisses on stage ever. Like that one time at band camp, she kissed Britney Spears, and another time, she kissed Drake at Coachella, which is the most boomer zoomer thing anyone has ever said. She's the queen of scandal, but using it to her advantage, which honestly just makes a lot of sense. That's how she rolls. I was gonna say maybe I need a scandal, but nobody needs a scandal. I don't need a scandal. We're good. I'm a good boy. We're gonna stay good boys. Number 9, Kim K. Did you honestly think I was not going to mention her? I mean, in reality, we could throw the whole family in there between the Pepsi commercials and, trying to bury some lethal car accidents. But if you were around a few years ago and you were a surfer of the interwebs, perhaps you remember a certain video of certain fame that made it onto your screen. And I talked to the chief, who's a social media manager, and he said, that's not it. She somewhat shed the backlash from the video, but I feel like only because so much other crazy stuff has happened since. She married Kanye, had a kid, broke the internet, and is now possibly linking up with Pete Davidson, which would explain why Kanye didn't show his face at the Super Bowl. I wouldn't either, you know what I mean? You're Kanye West, and then have you looked at Pete Davidson lately? Oh. Number 8, very nice, Pamela Anderson. I like, be my wife, very nice. Anyway, speaking of tapes, she probably had one of the worst bedroom leaks ever. That sounds like someone just wet the bed. No, what it actually means is footage of a certain bedroom act between her and Motley Crue drummer Tommy Lee. Or, in their case, it took place in more than just a bedroom. Famous for her biological assets and acting career on Baywatch, the leaked tape doesn't leave up to the imagination and would leave anyone blushing. Please be my wife, please. I love you so much. Number 7, A Galaxy Far, Far Away. Carrie Fisher, the daughter of Hollywood royalty and every nerd's first unhealthy obsessive crush. Trust me, I know. I mean, can you blame them though? Oh, baby, those space rolls in episode 4 just make the nerdies randy, baby, yeah. However beautiful and tantalizing the princess from another galaxy may be, she's not without her scandals in real life. I can't say exactly what she was partaking in, since YouTube would hunt me down like Order 66, but let's just say the snow on Hoth wasn't the only fine white powder the princess found herself surrounded by. It was the late 70s, and if you've ever seen the Star Wars Christmas special, then you can understand what I mean by fine white powder. You'd have to be to make that. If you've seen it, it's awful, it's terrible. The princess also found herself in a Harrison entanglement, meaning she was having an affair with Harrison Ford. Honestly though, he's pretty handsome, so I don't blame her there. Dude's creeping into his 80s and he still looks good. It's just strange to think that those on-screen kisses may have been more real than we thought. Ooh, scandalous. Number 6, Viola Desmond. This one goes out to the American fans because you might not know about this one, but Canada? Well, we had our own Rosa Parks. A very similar story too, actually. Viola went to the theater in Nova Scotia one day in 1946, where she ended up sitting in a whites-only section, because that's just what it was like back then. It was terrible, naughty, way better than that now, honestly. After this proved to be too much for most white people, she was asked to leave, where she rightfully refused. The whites-only section had better seats, naturally. She was removed and arrested for trying to cheat the government of tax. The one ticket cost more and they thought she was trying to cheat it. It's just a messy story, really. She fought it in court though, and it might not have gone exactly to plan, but it was a huge step forward in civil rights, and you can now find Viola on the $10 bill, the first black woman to appear alone on a bill note. She's remembered for her bravery and courage, especially during Black History Month. And I think actually, real quick for the editor, hold on. Here's some living history right here. Oh, it's not. I fake fan. I got the other one. I got the old one on there. Damn. Number 5, Eva Braun. What's more scandalous than being the devil's girlfriend? Well, how about being the worst man in history's girlfriend? Yep. For a lot of these women, it's hard to stay out of the press, even the women that lived before the modern paparazzi. It's just like any other love story, really. really. Girl meets boy, boy meets girl, boy is way too old for the girl. Girl likes the boy anyway, and if she doesn't, her family might disappear. Boy wants to take over the world and destroy certain groups of people. You know, that old chestnut. Spending time in the Bavarian mountains with other top German officials, it would be no surprise that she believed in some of the heinous things that Mustache Man and his cronies were peddling. And oh boy, they were pushing some real garbage. The kind of garbage that should have been emptied last week, but nobody in your apartment, including you and your roommates, has the energy to get up and take out. In the end, I believe it's a story of Icarus. Sure, everything was fine and dandy with Mustache Man, and his goons were rising to power, and heck, maybe even the house in the hills was real swell too. But they got too big, too mad, and too bad. Honestly, they were naughty. Don't do what you did. So the international community came knocking. Eva and the Mustache Man would not get off the floor to answer, because they were dead. Number 4, Bonnie. From Bonnie and Clyde. Picture this, it's a brisk summer night in 1933. The city streets are illuminated by a full moon, and the warm orange glow of neon lights reflects in the puddles that surround parked cars as far as the eye can see down each end of the avenue. City noises softly pollute the background, when all of a sudden you hear tires screeching and engines roaring. The wailing from sirens grows louder as a beige car comes careening around the bend. The soft city noise has now been replaced by screaming, sirens, and perhaps most terrifying, gunfire. Loud single shots, rapid fire return. What I described to you might be every Hollywood movie depicting the Public Enemy era, but it's not that far from the truth. Can't talk about that time period or scandalous women in history without talking about Bonnie and Clyde. Emphasis on Bonnie. A bank robbing duo that saw enough action to have their story and car immortalized in legend. A girl who was down in her luck and got herself wrapped up in the wrong crowd. She loved to take pictures, and the photos were scandalous to say the least. It's one thing to rob a joint and open fire on regular folks, but to take photos of yourself after you escape if you just did that? Hey, I don't know, that's pretty scandalous. Listen here, kid, say cheese. Number 3, Marilyn Monroe. Happy birthday, Mr. President. I mean, this is where it all starts, doesn't it? Celebrities were nothing new when Marilyn Monroe came around, but she was known for her acting, beauty, and scandals. When you're the most gorgeous woman in all of Hollywood, that kind of pressure can get to you. She was a superstar who put people in theater seats, and I hate to tell y'all, but that's all producers really care about even today. They just want your money and put bums in seats. That's just how it goes. She was the first model to appear on the Playboy cover, married to Joe DiMaggio of baseball fame, and perhaps, maybe kinda had a thing with one of the presidents of the United States. But I guess we'll never know which one it was. It was JFK. Number 2, Marie Antoinette, the last queen of France. Okay, so nobody actually said the famous no cake line, I get it. But you gotta understand how messed up things were. The rich were literally having lavish parties at the cost of the poorest and less fortunate citizens. There's only so much hunger people can take before they start acting up. After all, what is the king gonna do? How can you take away from those who have nothing? Or even scarier than that, have nothing to lose. While the king did make most of the decisions that would end the royal rule in France, it was her spending and lifestyle that made people sick. I mean, literally sick. They were dying in the streets. Nicknamed Madame Deficit because in a time when the economy wasn't so hot, she was. She was spending money on ridiculous things like her hair, when God forbid she should, help the people that make any of her lavish life even possible. Number 1, Elizabeth Bathory. This might be the worst, most down bad woman in history. I'd argue she's the first serial unaliver because, well, that's kind of what she was. Basically, she was a noblewoman of a family who owned land in Hungary. She had a thing for unaliving young women. You know how it goes. Gross. Using a list of horrible methods that, if I listed, would have the FBI at my front door. FBI, open up! Anyway, the estimated number of victims is around 300. Some say 600. Some even say she bathed in the blood of her victims to stay young and beautiful. She was eventually arrested and sent away to live the rest of her days in a castle, where she had free movement of the castle. So basically just ye olde house arrest. Perhaps it was something to do with being rich. I wonder if that had something to do with it. Yeah. That's gonna wrap it up for me today, guys. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe here at Bumblebee. And if you too want to take a bath with me, then check out my socials linked down below. I've been your host, Big Ched, and stay sweet, my little honeybees. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Look at my pistols. Pew, bang, bang. Okay,